Welcome to the Roy Morgan Weekly Update. First, new Roy Morgan research on gambling. An estimated 622,000 Australian adults have serious gambling problems. That's 2.9% of the adult population, and the majority are under 35. So 8.6% of Australians say that they have bet more than they could really afford to lose. 8% have felt guilty about the way they gamble or what happens when they gamble. 7.9% go back on another day to try and win back the money that they lost. 6.9% need to gamble with larger amounts of money to get the same feeling of excitement. 5.9% feel they might have a problem with gambling. And 4.9% say that gambling has caused them health problems, including stress or anxiety. The Problem Gambling Severity Index, sometimes called PGSI, brings together the responses to these questions and identifies problem gamblers as well as moderate and low risk gamblers. In total, nearly 3.5 million Australians are either problem gamblers or at risk gamblers. Looking over time shows the rate and number of problem gamblers has grown in each of the last 2 years. That 622,000 problem gamblers identified this year is up a significant 111,000 from a year ago and up 230,000 from 2 years ago. Analysis by age shows Australians aged under 50 are more than twice as likely to be considered problem gamblers than those aged 50 or more, and Australians under 35 are more than 3 times as likely as those aged 50 plus. In fact, 316,000 problem gamblers are under 35, 306,000 are 35 or over. And now to consumer confidence. ANZ Roy Morgan consumer confidence increased 1.8 points to 85.8. Now, the driver of that increase was more confidence about personal financial situations looking forward and compared to a year ago. In further good news, ANZ Roy Morgan inflation expectations were virtually unchanged at 4.8%. So Australians are expecting annual inflation of 4.8% each year over the next 2 years. Now, we reported recently that mortgage stress was easing overall, but clearly not for everyone. Roy Morgan data scientists have identified that a majority, 52.3%, of owner-occupied mortgage holders who live alone or as single parents are at risk of mortgage stress, and 36% of these people are extremely at risk. Importantly, this research reveals far more women than men in these circumstances are impacted. In the year to June 2025, an estimated 205,000 single female mortgage holders were at risk of mortgage stress. 108,000 single male mortgage holders were at risk. These are important considerations that the Reserve Bank needs to take into account when deciding on whether to cut interest rates again next week and in the future months. To understand more about this phenomenon, see the full release on our website. And looking forward to next week, I'll be back to bring you the latest data for consumer confidence, inflation expectations, and business confidence. Thanks for listening.